So this is a really special book called Mrs. Mary Malarky's 7 Cats, and it is a book that was mine when I was little. Here you can see to Rosie with love from Gran, 30th of June 1994. So my Gran gave this to me when I was almost 3. Kind of 2.5. So it's it's special. I remember reading it with my mum when I was little, and we read it quite a lot now because we really like cats, and we have a lot of cat books. We obviously have cats. You will see them. There's one in the background right now, actually, attacking a pillow. He's cross because he wants to go outside, and I won't let him. We have 2 cats, and it can be very hard work. So I can't imagine having 7 cats, but it's a really nice story. So here we go. Mrs. Mary Malarky's 7 Cats. Mrs. Mary Malarky's 7 Cats. And it was published in, you can see, 1989. So, a little bit older than me. Mrs. Mary Malarky has 7 cats. 7 cats. Can you imagine it? She told me so when she came to babysit. We were having one of those chats we have at bedtime, where we drink our Ovaltine and have our biscuits. There was somebody on the telly with 5 dogs. They all liked Zippo, the amazing dog food. Wow, I said, that's a lot of dogs. Pooh, said Mary Malarky. 5, that's nothing. Look, how many fingers do you have? Count them up, look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh well, I said, it's not a lot of fingers, but still, I said, it's a lot of dogs. Pooh, she said, pooh, 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 that's nothing. Then she told me, I've got 7 cats. 7, I said, well, I just can't imagine it. So she drew me a picture. There now, count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just like your fingers, then 6, then 7. There you are, the lot. I tried to imagine it, but it was hard. Do all of them eat together in your kitchen? You and Mr. Malarky, of course, and all those cats? Sure, she said, it's nothing. 7 saucers, a saucer for each cat, that's for their milk, and 7 little dishes for their fish, and Zippo too. My cats just love their Zippo. That's a lot of dishes for you to wash, I said. Oh well, she said, Mr. Malarky helps. But where do they all sleep, all your 7 cats? Don't all those 7 cats need 7 blankets? Good heavens, no, she cried. They're individuals. Not every cat curls up beside the fire. Then she told me about every cat. There's Moses. He does like his basket, yes. He was a stray. We found him in the garden, nestled up to Mr. M's old right-hand glove. Now, how could we take that glove away from him? Then Louise and Blanche, they came together. Each of them has a chair. That's how they are. They think they're royalty, Louise and Blanche. They were Mrs. Marty's till she left. You remember, old Mrs. Marty? It was high time someone cared for her. So that young niece of hers gave her a home. But 2 old lame cats, that was too much. People have their limits. Then Tom, well, he adopted us. That's right. We just stopped for a minute by that pet shop. Tom was just a kitten, but he saw us. It was clear he had his eye on us. The minute Tom got home, he found a box. You know about cats and boxes. Well, they love them. Show a cat a box and it's away. So that's his favourite sleeping place till now. Petal was next door's cat, but next door left, and Petal stayed. The movers had forgotten her, but they had left this bit of some old blanket. Perhaps it reminded Petal of her home, so Petal always tucks up in her blanket. As for Albert, Albert followed Petal, always hanging round by our back door. Then one day in he came, so he stayed. Sheba, our beautiful jungle cat, she was the first. You never know where you'll find her. In the laundry, on my pillow, any book left open. She'll climb into an open drawer sometimes and never even notice when you shut it. But as for beds now, isn't it time for yours? So finally she made me go to sleep. How could I wait until she came again? What I did was, I began to draw. I drew those cats all 7 by myself. Moses and Petal and Tom and Louise and Blanche and Albert and Sheba. I had a long time to wait though. Well, I said when Mrs. Malarky came, let's talk some more. Tell me about your cats. Moses and Petal and Tom and Louise and Blanche and Albert. My, oh my, said Mrs. Mary Malarky. Albert, Petal, Tom. Wait till I tell you. Well, come on, I said. Just let me get our Ovaltine, she said. Then she told me. Gone, she said, gone, gone. And what a story. All of them? I asked her. No, she said, but just you wait, you listen. Then she told me. You remember Tom, that cheeky Tom? Well, one day my nephew Robert came for tea. He brought a rubber ball, a bouncy ball, a dangly bit of string for Tom to chase, and Tom, of course, went wild. What could we do? Either we had Robert or he had Tom. You just couldn't part the two of them. So Tom went off with Robert. And then Louise and Blanche, the poor old dears. They were such old cats, you know, so old. Great-great-grandmothers like old Mrs. Marty. And you know, I think they really missed her, though of course they were too proud to show it. One morning they were gone. Catnapped, we thought. But 3 days later, Mrs. Marty's niece called. They'd shown up, hungry and dirty but purring. They weren't too old to look out for themselves. As for Petal, what a happy ending. Next door came back for her. They found each other. Now, that was one grand reunion, that was. All the way back they came from their new home, just to try to find their little Petal. So, of course, Albert followed Petal. Well, they had to take him, didn't they? He'd been such a friend in all her troubles. And then there was only Moses. What a mystery. And Sheba, I said. Ah, well, there's always Sheba, said Mrs. Malarky. But what about Moses then, I asked. What mystery? Always was a mystery, she said. Just came out of nowhere, you remember? A sort of wise old tough old cat he was. Never really belonged to us, just stayed. Then one day, when the spring air tempted him, just went. Probably out there now, all on his own, hunting. Oh, but he'll be back one day. So Mr. Malarky got his right-hand glove back, and both of them got back their comfy chairs. Now there's only one, I said, just Sheba. It seemed to me it must be sad and quiet, Mr. and Mrs. Malarky and just one cat. Well, said Mrs. Malarky, not exactly. Now you just wipe your fingers very carefully. Before you go to bed, I'll show you something. Here's what she showed me. Count them up yourself. Yes, Mrs. Mary Malarky has 7 cats again. But what if each of those other cats had kittens? Oh, so many cats. And at this point, we usually choose which is our favourite cat today. And I often like this little guy, which reminds me a bit of Tom the kitten from earlier in the story. But there's lots of nice cats here. Although, I think it would be irresponsible to have this many cats. I just don't think it would work. So, this is Mrs. Mary Malarky's 7 cats. And yeah, it's been with me almost my whole life. And I still really like it. I hope you liked it too. I can't turn it off.